Have you ever wondered what separates businesses that thrive from those that simply survive? The answer might be simple. It might be simpler than you think. It's about knowing your clients, not what they need, but knowing their stories, their motivations, and their deepest desires. Today, myself and my co founder, Kenneth Mckenzie, are going to help you uncover the secret to transform your business by using empathy driven client relationships that reflect your values. So, Kenneth, you've built your whole business on knowing your clients well. And the reason I know this is because 2024, you and I were talking on the 7th of March, and you said to me, "Hey, it's your wife's birthday tomorrow." And I said to you, "Is it?" How have you used this idea of like getting to know your clients deeper to your advantage throughout your business career?
So that was an interesting moment, Rob, because as part of what I've realized, and this has come with years, and I think it's something that you could probably teach yourself. You can definitely teach yourself to do, and many of us can do this as a second nature. But it is really going deeper into what makes your client tick. And the only way to find out and build a rapport with your client is to sit and to listen, right? So spend time with them, listen to what they really want, what their problems really are, and most of the time, what the problem is that they think they need solving is not that's not it. It's something completely different. But you can't do that off of an hour meeting. You just can't. And that's why we believe in building a rapport with someone. So really learning more about the person, learning more about the business, learning more about how the business works, who works in the business. And that way we can also start adding value. But adding value on a professional level is fine. And all of us do it. It's great. As accounting and finance people, you know what needs to get done. But there's this gap between adding value, so your professional service, and really caring for someone or looking after a client. And I think that's where the opportunity lies, right? And that is the reminder about your wife's birthday if you forget, or it is the odd conversation about the sport that the client loves, or taking them to an event that will give them an emotional connection to what you do. So just building that relationship, and it cements the whole client and the business into yours because it comes from your heart. So it's obvious that it will be sustainable.
Hmm. If you think about it, there's actually very few brands or things that you buy that you don't actually have some form of emotional attachment to. There's very few things or relationship attachment to. And I think that so many people are getting stuck in turning their business into a transactional thing. I'm a plumber. Therefore, I fix your pipes when they burst and I put new pipes in when you need them. I charge this much for it. And then that's the start and end of the transaction. But really speaking, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but some of the most successful people out there, Kenneth, they're the most likable people as well. They're the people who you feel like you want to do business with because they actually like you. How do you keep yourself, Kenneth, as a likable human being for your clients?
Yeah, you know what? And this is where the fun part comes in, because if you are in business, it means that you are actually in the business of serving people, right? You offer a product or a service that solves a problem, but you have to work with people, and you must be able to work really well with people because there's someone on the other side that needs to decide to press a button to transfer money to you because they think that you're worth it, isn't it? Paying your invoice. If you don't build that communication channel, the decision for a client to make a payment becomes really tough if they haven't seen any value or they don't have a rapport or a communication channel. Now, having said that, for me personally, I enjoy people. I enjoy networking. I enjoy talking to business owners, and it kind of feels like there's always this moment where you think, sure, I'm never too old to learn, because you really pick up nuances and golden nuggets when you talk to people and business owners. When you do that and you're listening, that's the portion where you're really building the rapport. Now, if you are not a talkative person or you don't enjoy people as much, this might be something that is well out of your comfort zone. But there's a reason that guys like Tony Robbins and Rob Yates says your net worth will be the average of the 5 people that you spend your most time with, your 5 friends. That will be your average net worth. And if you go and you sit down and you jot it down, you can test this. And it just is. So if you spend most of your time with poor people, your perspective on life changes completely. Maybe they struggle to make financial decisions, and that changes your perspective. But I'll put you in a room with 5 billionaires for a day, and your perspective will change again. So I think if it's something that comes natural, that's great because it will help you in your business. If it doesn't, it's definitely something that you can work on and that you can grow into. It is not lost at all.
It's everything is a learnable skill, right? It's all you have to have is the want and the desire to learn it and know that it's something that you should learn. Some of the most interesting things that I find in terms of knowing clients is actually about not just knowing the client, but knowing their world about them. You remembered when my wife's birthday was, right? That's actually of kind of more importance to me than when my birthday is. And it's actually about getting to understand what's important to your clients and what not. Tell me, there's a fascination at the moment. A lot of businesses are trying to automate and systemize into these one-size-fits-all models. And I'm a big fan of automation and systemization, but when do you think could be too early to start going down that cookie cutter route? And when do you think it gets too late? How do business owners, because there's going to be a lot of business owners on here who are doing less than $1 million a year turnover. How do they balance that for themselves?
Yeah. So the way that I see business or building a business is you have to, if you start from scratch, right? If you're new in the business, it's a startup pretty much. Your main focus is income, right? Client income. Because if you don't have that, essentially you don't have a business. And now you very, very quickly, you need to learn how to build that skill, right? How to work with clients, how to work with people, how to sell the service. Each client is different. So at that point in your business, you can't have a customized focus. Like you can't have a cookie cutter focus. You must have a customized focus because each client works differently. You can do that up to a certain point where you then have to start looking at scaling, right? But the problem that we have is that startups, they skip this first step in first building the foundation of getting the clients in, getting the cash flow in, building structure, internal structure. They want to go straight to how do I scale the startup with policies and processes when all you really need to focus on is finding enough clients for you to be able to reinvest into your business. So it's definitely a problem out there. And maybe it's a misconception where people have startups or small businesses and they want to scale, but they're not ready to scale because they don't have enough clients. They need to nurse the clients that they have, bring more income in, bring more clients in, and there will be a tipping point when you are saturated. And then you can look at, different ways to scale your business. But I think there's a huge misconception there. Startups want to scale, and there's 100 steps between those two, between posts.
I once worked in a tech startup, and the front end of their business, so it was very much put data in, get stuff back out again, advice back out again, and whatever else. And the front end of their business that the customer saw was wonderful, and it gave the illusion of incredible software. But when a customer clicked submit during the platform's operating hours, it actually went to a series of human beings who scrambled behind the scenes whilst there was a whirling wheel in the middle of the customer's screen. And then the human being put the data in and fed it back. And they did that for their first 200 customers before they took the cash that they generated and stuck it back in for the next layer of development. And I think that people are focusing on some form of business perfection, because one thing that I've noticed is if you get to really, really know your customers intimately and deeply, you actually get to go and elevate your business and build your business on the back of that. But you can't guess what they really care about until you found out what they've really cared about. And a lot of what people really care about isn't necessarily what we guess it to be. You know, in the example I started off with, I actually care more that you remember my wife's birthday than my birthday.
Yeah.
That's an assumption. That's a thing that a lot of businesses would miss. So, in Mckenzie Accounting, your first business that you built, how have you refined your service of getting to know your customers at a deeper level to make it easier to find customers and easier to keep customers?
Absolutely. I'll tell you something that I still do to this day. In fact, I did it this morning. We were on our way to meet a new client, and I have researched the company. I researched the clients, but I needed a hook or some sort of a connection between something or someone that I know and who they know, because that gives me an entry point to a conversation with them. And once I get that entry point, it creates an emotional connection for them. And it's a feel-good moment because they feel more comfortable, right? It's a familiar name or it's a familiar hobby or something. And they automatically will start associating me and my business with that feel-good moment. So it's, talking to clients and working with clients, you have to be very aware that the speed at what they're talking, how they're sitting, what they're doing, their body language, more often than not, gives you more information than what they are saying. And if that information isn't favorable or you see that there's a problem, then you need to be able to adapt. It's not just a selling technique, but it's also a way to show them that you are present in the conversation and you're looking at them and you're listening. And when you get that right, automatically you have set a foundation for another conversation or a communication channel that has opened up. That we feel is key.